Hello. So Dean has been introduced. He is my boss, which is always great to interview my boss in front of hundreds of people. I am Jim Rutenberg. I'm the media columnist, so I report to Dean. And it's been as you probably know, an insane year, probably the craziest year of any of our careers. So I thought the best starting question is, are we really the enemy of the American people? We're friends with Southwest no matter what.
Shouldn't we beat around the bush a little bit?
I'd love to. No one lets you do it anymore.
All jokes aside, I thought that was just an outrageous comment by the president. I thought it was sort of designed to undermine the press. Of course we're not the enemy of the people. I mean, we have a role in society which is to ask tough questions of the president. I like this relationship we have in a weird way with the president. The most natural state of affairs between the news media and the president is tension. It should be tense. We shouldn't be friendly. But I think that sweeping the press as the enemy of the people is a dangerous comment. And I think that it's regrettable that he felt compelled to make it.
You know, and the cool thing about this is I get to ask you stuff that Dean's always too busy to talk to the likes of me. No, you've got a lot going on, so you're going to see me actually ask me things I wanted to know. But when that tweet came in, were you kind of as jarred by it as those of us in the newsroom were?
Yeah, all those tweets. My first, if I can go back in time just a little bit, the first of those tweets, it was a Friday night after the election, and we were getting pretty criticized for our coverage by the left and the right.
Which we'll get to.
Yeah, and I spent a couple days responding to critics, and then woke up Sunday morning to his first Failing New York Times tweet, and I felt like the whole tone of my emails shifted dramatically. Suddenly I was starting to get really supportive emails. I think when he does the tweets like the enemy of the people, it's jarring. Of course it's jarring. It does not influence our coverage of him. That one, I think, is particularly troublesome because enemy of the people is a historic term in the life of American literature and politics, and it implies an attitude toward us. And hopefully it does not imply the possibility that he will do things. But it was disturbing, and it was disturbing when I saw it and jarring, yeah.
Do you worry when that happens that we in the reporting staff will get too emotional about it? Because we shouldn't be kind of goaded into this.
Yeah.
Is that something that you...
I feel like one of my hardest management jobs in this campaign is to make sure that the New York Times sort of holds on to its core. Not that reporters are trying not to hold on to their core, but my view, which I've said numerous times and I'll say it again, our job is not to be the opposition to Donald Trump. It's to cover the hell out of Donald Trump. We're supposed to cover the hell out of powerful people, and he's the most powerful man in the world. It's not to be, his opponent. It's to be tough, questioning advocates of journalism and of our readers. So I do have to make sure the newsroom, my messages to the newsroom is, you cannot let those tweets influence how you cover Donald Trump. You should cover the tweets, you should cover Donald Trump, but we should remember that our role is pretty clear right now.
And why do you think he's so focused, not exclusively on the New York Times, but it's very...
But more than any other news organization.
Why do you think that is? I mean, Washington Post, let's throw them in here a little bit too.
Yeah. No. I mean, the main reason is because we're better than everybody else.
Oh, no. He is joking. He is joking.
I think if I can sort of, it's always tricky psychoanalyzing people, but I'll do it anyway. I think that Donald Trump is a guy whose family made its fortune in Queens, which in the anthropology and geography of New York is sort of an outer borough. And I think he came to Manhattan And he really set his sights on making Manhattan. And I think he built apartment buildings probably for people who would have had trouble getting into Park Avenue buildings. And I think that he really wanted to conquer the elite of New York. And I think in his mind, this is tricky territory, but there's evidence to back it, the New York Times sort of represents, for better or for worse, some of the elite of New York. I don't like to think of it that way, but a lot of people do. And I think that it means that he wants our favor, but gets hugely angry when he can't have it. And I think that's why he singles us out for tweets. I think that's why, on the other hand, it is also why, after his election, he summoned all the networks to Trump Tower and gave them a lecture. But when it came to the New York Times, he came to us. He spoke on the record, and he was mostly civil and polite, I think.
And that is an interesting visit, but before we get to that, you know what I forgot to do, folks? If you want to submit questions, you should submit them to slido.com and hashtag, I thought hashtags were out in 2017. No, hashtag SXSW. So just, put your questions in and we'll keep going and then we'll turn to them. But when he came to the office that day, right, they tried to say what they'd done before, a couple days before, is they brought the television anchors in, kept it off the record, and then when everyone left, they leaked to the New York Post how Trump just told them they were all assholes, right?
Yeah.
And he wanted to do that with us, and we said, no, you're going to have to be on the record.
That's right.
And we almost lost the interview.
That's right, which we would have been more comfortable losing the interview than giving in to the way they wanted to do the interview. He wanted to come in and meet with the publisher and talk off the record. I don't like, and there's much debate about this in journalism circles. I don't believe in the editor, especially not the executive editor, doing off the record with newsmakers. I never did it with Barack Obama. I never did it with George Bush, and I didn't feel comfortable doing it with him. But we stuck to our grounds. We said, you need to come to us. It's got to be on the record. And he did.
And do you have why? I was surprised he did. Why do you think he did? I guess it goes to your point that he.
I think he look. All jokes aside, and I'm not. I don't want this to sound arrogant, but I think I think the New York Times, and historically, along with the Post, but historically, especially for New Yorkers, sets a certain kind of agenda. But I also think he's a New York guy. And the New York Times means a lot to him.
Right. Were you shocked when he called us a jewel?
I was shocked when he called us a jewel. I was and I wasn't. Shocked is not the right word. He is I've had 3 conversations with Donald Trump in my life. Once was this meeting, another time when he came to the editorial board where I was just a visitor because I'm not on the editorial board. And the third time was when I was a young reporter for the New York Times, and I covered a court hearing, and he called me after the court hearing to tell me how beautiful the story was. I think he's a salesman. I think he says he plays to his crowd. I think he sat there with an editorial board that he knew leaned left, and he said things that he thought they might want to hear. He didn't actually ever, if you look at that transcript and compare it to his actions, they don't match.
Right, and that's the thing that we got some heat after that we didn't go hard enough on him.
You're talking about the second one, right?
Yeah, we didn't go hard, and there is something in part of the readership wants us to, why aren't you being tougher on him? So there is some pressure from the other side.
I think it's an interesting. I actually think we're very tough on him. I mean, if you look at, look at the New York Times of the last 2 weeks. We've run like 3 or 4 major stories about the relationship between his people and Russia. We've done a major story about the background of one of his cabinet secretaries. We've pounded away at the Russia stuff. So I do think we're tough. I think readers want something that I don't think is in the realm of news. I mean, I get emails from people saying, I got one last week from a friend who's very thoughtful who said, I understand why you have to cover him, but do you have to put his picture on the front page? And, you know, how do you, I sit there and I try to write these, you know, thoughtful responses, but he's the president of the United States. We have to put his picture on the front page.